This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, 24th January 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. A fatal road traffic accident along the westbound lane of the Churchill Roosevelt Highway yesterday morning claimed the life of one man and left thousands of motorists stuck in gridlock for close to 5 hours. Students heading to school, employees making their way to work, and people on their way to do business from as far east as Piarco, Central, and South Trinidad heading into Port of Spain were forced to endure long hours in their cars and public transportation. Some people, exasperated with the situation, turned around and returned home. The accident hampered the smooth flow of traffic heading west from 5:20 a.m. to around 10:30 a.m. as the scene was cordoned off to allow forensic officers to retrieve the remains of Krishna Ramgas, 66, who was run over by several vehicles. Police said around 5:20 a.m. a driver who lives at Larry's Source, South Dabadi, was proceeding west with his Nissan Navara when he struck Ramgas, who was attempting to cross the busy highway. Meantime, after another massive traffic gridlock as a result of the fatality on the Beetham Highway yesterday, and a reminder from the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, that the average Trinidadian spends more than a month a year in traffic jams. The business community is calling for urgent changes. The direct economic cost to traffic in Trinidad and Tobago is estimated at $2.26 billion every year, or 1.37% of gross domestic product, with the average commuter spending an average of 793 hours, cumulatively 33 days, 1 month per year in traffic delays. There are two main findings of the assessment of the economic cost of traffic congestion in the Caribbean, a case study in TNT. Most respondents, 56% female and 44% male, reported they commuted at least 3 times per week in self-driven private vehicles, 81% carrying no passengers. And AmCham TNT said the impact of traffic for everyone was extremely high, and hours wasted in traffic was not productive as it negatively impacts families and quality of life. Opposition leader Kamala Prasad is calling on the government for all servicemen, police officers, to be provided with FULs and personal firearms. Prasad Bisesa said via a release issued yesterday, "We cannot reasonably ask our law enforcement officers to put their personal safety at risk daily while on duty, only to leave them unprotected when they leave their workplaces." She added, "I call on the government to immediately act to provide FULs and personal firearms to all our law enforcement officers. These brave men and women can rest assured that if no action is taken by this government, the UNC will move without delay to provide said licenses and firearms upon our return to government." End quote. She added it was hypocritical that some ministers and members of their families are holders of several legal firearms, while law enforcement officers are not afforded the same means to protect themselves and their families while off duty by this government. A revenue generation and cost reduction plan have been developed by the University of the West Indies Open Campus to help the institution come out of its financial difficulties. This admission from the campus and funding model must be revisited and changes made since it was formally launched in 2008. 35% of financial assistance is collected from several governments which supported UE, 65% of the funding collected from student tuition fees and entrepreneurial activities. Education Minister Dr. Nian Gaspi-Dolly provided the update during the question and answer period in the Senate yesterday, Tuesday. The Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago is sounding an alarm about what it says is the increasing prevalence of identity theft and the use of fraudulent documents by fraudsters in land transactions. In a release issued yesterday, the LATT warns that many instances of fraud are happening with respect to the sale, purchase, and mortgage of residential properties. Often, they said, these professionals may not be able to ascertain the veracity and authenticity of documentation pertaining to identity for parties in property transactions, the association said. It's advising all stakeholders and the public to be aware and carry out their responsibilities with extra care and attention to ensure incidences of fraud are reduced substantially. Discussions continue between the Attorney General and the Director of Public Prosecution on issues surrounding the provision of resources to the Office of the DPP. Attorney General Reginald Lamour, Senior Counsel, told the Senate yesterday afternoon deliberations are on matters unnecessary and continue given the nature of the two offices. He said deliberations relating to accommodation Allocation of human and technical resources and physical locations are ongoing. In news outside this country, the BBC is reporting hundreds of people have fled their homes in southern Mexico as rival cartels fight for control of routes used to smuggle drugs and migrants. An official said more than 700 residents have been displaced from their communities near the border with Guatemala. The Jalisco New Generation cartel is trying to wrest the area from the grip of the Sinaloa cartel. And finally, former U.S. President Donald Trump took a huge step toward winning a third consecutive Republican presidential nomination on Tuesday, winning the New Hampshire primary in a one-on-one matchup with his last challenger standing, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Haley vowed to remain in the Republican race, saying she'll now focus on the February 24th primary in the home state of South Carolina, but she'll be battling against history. In modern presidential campaign history in the U.S., no non-incumbent has won the Iowa caucuses, New Hampshire primary without going on to win his party's nomination. Trump, who took the stage shortly after Haley spoke, seething over her decision to continue her campaign, said she had to win, and she failed badly. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming up at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
What it is. It is Hump Day Wednesday. Good morning, neighbors. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. The weekend is in sight. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. You just heard from Paul Richards with our news brief. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen. We got Ruben. We've got Shane in the mix. My name is Steve Curran. Let's get straight into the WTs. Hope it's not like yesterday. Spending 3 hours in your vehicle, heading to your destination. Horrible. Let's see. All right, traffic-wise, let's start out in San Fernando. I got nothing really to tell you about. There is one accident, and it's on Rigby Street, somewhere in San Fernando. But just by Freeport, you're going to get traffic towards Sugargones. That main road is beginning to build. And Charlieville, towards the interchange. Monroe Road is beginning to build. Southern Main Road, as you pass through Chin Chin Road, got it. Kelly Village is a bit heavy. Go to Santa Rosa, you've got some traffic. Piarco Lights, approaching that, you're going to get it. Not too bad from Trin City to Orange Grove, and heavier towards UE on the CRH, and then Valsayn to pretty much before Barataria. It's volume. Then you'll speed up a bit. And then just by Swim Call, you'll get traffic getting into Port of Spain. Eastern Main Road, not that bad. Heading to Macoya, you've got some Marval is beginning to build. Nothing out of Diego Martin. All right. Let's see what the Met Office is saying. Our weather for today. It is 23 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 25 at Crown Point. And, well, the Met Office has not updated it for the morning. But I tell you what they said at 4:21 yesterday afternoon. Today is going to be partly cloudy intervals with showers. Winds can become gusty near showers. Small craft operators, sea bathers, and all other marine interests are advised to exercise caution. Maximum forecast temp for today, 32 degrees on both islands. All right. Let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. A lot of you already. Oliver Man Warren, good morning. Rena Boodoo Jennings, woohoo, good morning, blessings. DJ Ray out in Tampa. Wayne B out in Covington, Georgia. Carol Joseph. Garth Celia out in Valencia. CJ out in New York. Good morning to you. Marcia Rock out in Florida. Wendy and James. Ambrose Blah. Dennis Passad, Mo Gaines out in Aruca, Trinidad Margo, Maria Celia, Brenda Isaac, now recovering from pan crawl. I've never done that. Never. I should, Carol Guevara, good morning. Yen Akam, good morning to you from Boston. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, good morning to you. Slick Money Grip, good morning. Don't forget to mask up on your way out the door. Yep, I've started to do that already. Let's say good morning to a few people. Good morning, Michael, out in London, England. Dan Raj, good morning to you. And of course, oopsie daisy. Yeah. And Sankofa, good morning to you. Jaron, good morning to you. Steve, where are the temps? Okay, good morning to you. Messenger, I didn't give the temps, did I? Well, let's do that now. Let's change. You're really on top of things, boy. I will tell you. In Toronto, woo, like summer, it's 1 degree. Miami, you're at 22. Orlando, 18. New York, 2 degrees. And by Friday, you're going to go up to 14. Ow. Summertime. Let's see. Atlanta, you're at 10. You're going to have to 20 degrees by tomorrow and Friday. Wow. A lot of snow is going to melt. London, England, 10 degrees. Why is it not sliding now? Here we go. Tampa, 19. Washington, D.C., you're at 2. By Friday, you'll go up to 20 degrees. Wow. From one extreme to the next, I tell you. Good morning to you, Paul Richards. Good morning, Wendell Steven.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe.
Mm-hmm.
A special good morning to those celebrating birthdays today. Former press officer, former high commissioner, former attorney general, and now social media blogger Gavin Nicholas. He is celebrating his birthday today.
He is.
Karen Smart. Anderson Mahays, that's Gaylan's son. He is celebrating his birthday today.
Do you know why he not, as he wanted to play cricket?
Yeah, that's a cricketer.
I know why he not on that West Indies team.
Boy,
Yes.
yeah, I telling you, man. Narissa Noel.
That boy can play cricket.
J. Boss Payne, he's a young man from St. James. Joanne David, Donna Coffey, Jay Ganes, and Adrian Winter, who is assistant. Who's that? What? No, he's not an assistant anymore. He works at the U-turn at the Ministry of Works and Transport. That's where Adrian is now. And Denise Aliong Thomas, former councillor in Port of Spain. They are all celebrating birthdays today.
Ken Emrith as well.
Ken Emrith. Where did I know that name?
Oh, boy.
School feeding. Way back in the day. Under NAR.
No.
Yeah.
Google his image. But Ken Emrith and see what you get.
I think he was.
Brandon, he's basically he's telling you that he doesn't know either.
He was with the UNC.
UNC or NAR?
UNC. He's very close. He was very close to Mr. Basdeo Pandey. Yeah.
I know that name.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you have a better day traffic-wise today.
Well, I heard some stories about yesterday. We really need, as I said yesterday, we really need some sort of traffic management.
Two road fatalities yesterday caused gridlock. People were coming from South, Central, and East Trinidad. Some people turned around, stuck in traffic for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, really ridiculous. And to me, I don't think the response from law enforcement was adequate in terms of trying to alleviate the situation. I think by the time law enforcement got into gear, it was already too late.
Yeah, and to add salt to that, Paul, why if someone, let's use yesterday as example, why do you have to stay on the roadway for 3 hours?
Till a DMO comes, I guess.
Well, yeah, the DMO has to come to clear the body from removal. That's the procedure.
Yeah.
I know that, but
it takes too long, though. I agree.
It takes way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long.
Did the DMO have to finish his breakfast?
Clearly.
Yeah, I think that's
It happens
I don't know.
all the time. That
Yeah.
should immediately stop.
But the gridlock yesterday was quite providential because it coincided with the release of the report from the Economic
Right,
Commission
yeah.
for Latin America and the Caribbean, saying that the average Trinidadian spends more than a month, 33 days a year in traffic jams,
Ridiculous.
costing the country an estimated $2.26 billion annually, or 1.37% of GDP. Now, that is very significant.
Mhm.
Gas time, they found that on average, for the weekday periods range from as low as 3 minutes at night to a high of 58 minutes during the afternoon period on weekday traffic. That's on weekends. On weekday traffic delays from 4 a.m. to 9, average 52 minutes. The average weekly time lost per worker in TNT was estimated at 793 hours, 16 hours each work week. That is really a lot, yeah?
It is.
And think of how much gas is wasted, and time and quality time and productive time is wasted. And I raised this already with the Minister of Transport and the Science, about the inefficiencies of PTSC. Now, when we talk about mass transit, an effectively running bus service is mass transit.
Yes.
We always automatically default to a rapid rail or a train system. There are jurisdictions in the US, states in the US, where all they have is bus service. And it works.
And it
In the UK, they have train and bus, and people use both.
Yeah.
The problem is not necessary to invest in a rapid rail. It is to fix the damn PTSC system.
That can be fixed.
It can be fixed.
It can be fixed.
It can be fixed, Wendell. They just have to have the will to do it and not have the mindset that if we don't have rapid rail, we have nothing. PTSC can be fixed.
Who gonna fix PTSC?
But that's what the government is for.
That's their job.
That's what the border PTS. That's what the border
They keep
PTS is
putting
for.
square pegs in round holes on boards in Trinidad and Tobago.
And
People
that's
who
where I
don't know
was
what
going.
they're doing. People who don't know what they're doing and just pander to a minister who appoint them to get a lunch every month for the board meeting, and whoever stipend there's get to sit there on a board.
That's where I was going, because clearly no boards in recent time in the last 15, 20 years was interested in fixing it.
And the plan is not a novel plan at this stage. Fix the transit hubs, get more buses, employ technology, and make it work.
The last time Mr.
People will not travel long distances. They'll park the car in Chaguanas if you have a proper parking spot there, and go to the bus terminus. San Fernando, East Trinidad, Curup, West Trinidad, same thing. But you cannot expect people to walk from their house to the bus terminus and then take a bus. You have to have secondary transport to the main hubs or parking. This is not brain surgery.
Let me tell you, Paul.
That novel.
When I
service with information about when buses are coming, reliability, and comfort and safety. Come on, it is not that great. It is not that innovative at this stage.
Let me tell you, when I used to go to work in Toronto, I never used to take my car, The bus stop had a telephone number.
Third world sometimes,
Yeah, the bus stop had a telephone number. You call, it will tell you when the bus, and the exact on time. Take the bus to the subway station, and then you take the subway to work.
Steve,
if I wanted to drive
of WhatsApp and technology,
yeah, but I'm saying back then,
signs on bus terminuses saying bus A416, Port of Spain, 4 minutes away, like anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Or an app on your phone. You know how long I asked about TSCT on this app? Sorry,
Yeah.
PTSC on this app?
that was
It's
then.
the longest development app in the history of apps in the world.
I used to drive to the subway, park my car, and take the subway. That's what we need.
So that $2 billion a year. You take two years of that and invest it back in fixing Citygate and the hubs. Put some parking and employ maxis on a short-term basis to take you from your house, like the main road in your house, to the, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
And then you jump on the main bus, and you have different levels of tiers of bus. So you have the ordinary buses, and you have the luxury buses to those who want that.
Mm-hmm.
If it is efficient, safe, and reliable, and convenient, people will use it.
I have a slightly different view. Simply because we are importing a ton load of cars in this country every year, right? And we are not building enough roads to deal with these cars. These same roads.
How many more roads you gonna build?
Let me finish now. The same road these cars have to travel on, these buses have to go on. The buses go be in traffic. Okay? We have
The buses won't be in traffic if you have less cars and you'll become more people taking public transport.
Right. Okay. So that's what you're hoping for that culture shift. But
there'll be a culture shift if it is convenient, safe, and reliable.
Well, not if cars are so easily available too. I don't know
yes,
how they
but
shift in that
cars are easily available because the public transportation system sucks. People have to get around.
I don't know that is so, but at the same time, I don't disagree that the public transport has to be improved. But the first thing they have to do is improve where the people have to stand up to wait for a bus.
That's the point. They have to improve the quality of the hub. That's all part of it. I said the hubs have to be upgraded.
Drive on that bus route and watch them hubs and them and tell me if you.
But I said that, Wendell, is an overall city gate. The main hubs have to be upgraded.
Yeah.
You understand? But that is not even hard.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, sometimes
I've taken buses abroad, especially in the UK. And let me tell you something, you can't get more efficient than that.
We take buses everywhere we go. We take buses everywhere we go when we travel. Look, this conversation is so trite, eh?
It is, and we've had it many times.
Oh my gosh. But no government can do that? They all incapable of that? Or is that car companies are too important as financiers?
Last time we spoke to, I think it was Mr. Goodin, who was heading PTSC. I don't know if he's still heading PTSC. We spoke to him live on air. And I pointed out to him about the condition of those bus stops. And he said, no, they were not so. And I went.
There's lie. All of them is lie.
I went the same day and I took pictures.
They all lie and appreciate and deflect. Lie.
They deflect.
You know why? Because they partner in the government, put them there, and they're on the board, and they're in the management, and they get the salary, and they don't care because they're driving the big car, and they all have bus route passes. So to hell with the traveling public who catching the skin. And yesterday the bus route was jam-packed too because people they don't want to take that.
Yeah.
I mean, this conversation is so trite. Carlisle, Cupid, I fully agree. Privatize the tail.
Yeah, but how long we talking that to?
Carlisle, Cupid, I fully agree. Privatize it. Because the state can't run it.
No. They made a mess of it.
Well,
PTSC is a mess.
There was a bacchanal that broke out last night.
There was a bacchanal that broke out last night?
Where? Social media.
Which one?
With a leaked sex tape with 3 guys.
Oh,
one allegedly
alleged footballer, national footballer,
whose name we shall not call.
Well, strange.
Why did young people tape themselves?
I don't know. I ask that all the time.
Why did young people tape themselves? Adults, you could do what you want, sleep with who you want. But why is it necessary to tape yourself, particularly when your body has very identifiable tattoos? You understand? So even if your face ain't on, they screenshot your arm and your chest in other pictures and superimpose it to identify you.
Yeah, naturally.
Why? Your memory bad? You can't remember what it looked like, it feel like? Your memory so bad?
I saw it and I said, oh boy. I said, oh boy, because I saw people talking about
playing football for TNT?
F?
He's still playing football for TNT?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, But I said, okay,
It's a generational thing when they will never understand.
No, I don't think I will ever understand.
Our generation never. And let me tell you something, I'm a big deal to our generation.
And people even pointed that out in CIC Fed the other day. Performers are performing the liver string out on a stage, and everybody with their phone recording, either recording themselves or they recording people, or they recording what's going on the stage. Nobody enjoying Nobody could be concerned about what really happened on the stage. They're more concerned about how
They had to take that picture to put in social
how they
media.
looking. Everybody with the phone over
They
the
had
face.
to take that picture to put in social media. They said they was there. Put on, if I was a performer, put on your phone. I ain't singing until you put on your phone.
Oh goodness.
I think we had the subject of our question this morning.
Traffic management.
The leader of the opposition,
Or that, definitely.
Mrs. Kamala Prasabi says, sir, has called for the government to provide law enforcement officers, all law enforcement officers who qualify, and let me make sure I'm accurate, with FULs and legal firearms to take home even when they're off duty. Because law enforcement officers carry out a very high-risk job. That's true. There have been situations in the past where they've been killed and or threatened, including prisons officers. And Mrs. Prasabi said it is hypocritical that some ministers and members of their families are holders of several legal guns and FULs, while law enforcement officers are not afforded the same means to protect themselves and their families while off duty. Of course, she added by this government.
And all of these things with the proviso that when the UNC gets in power, my goodness, you cannot ask for more cheap politicking than that. That you will give every officer, law enforcement officer, an FUL.
Well, look trouble now. If you think it's the Wild Wild West now, if you think it's the Wild Wild West now, you give every law enforcement officer a FUL and a gun to carry home.
I don't think people thinking a lot about what they're saying sometimes, you know.
Well,
it's almost counter. In other words,
Wendell, light them up.
In my opinion,
Cock it back.
You know what argument they counter in? That $100 million to go in those depressed communities. That is the argument to me that they counter, you know, because they said that
light them up, cock it back, reload. So the general public is to have FULs. Off-duty police, wow, wild
police,
west.
Army, prisons, all of them.
And general public.
Guns galore.
That we go like the US. Everybody
Guns
else.
galore.
Steve, tell me something chicken in your office. Hey, watch yourself. You know. I ain't bring a roti for Steve. Hey, I ain't going through that tomorrow. You know. I ain't going through that tomorrow.
Imagine one of these people who messages us who don't like us because of for whatever reason, and they have a gun.
I am not interested.
But I get two.
People are well within their means not to like anybody. I have absolutely no problem with that. You see, when you get disrespectful, we block you.
Yeah.
That's all. We just block you.
That's all.
When you get, you could be totally disagreeing. You could even call me stupid. Hey, man. When you get disrespectful, you block it.
Yeah.
As simple as that. This is a program, you know. We have things.
Yeah.
Donald Trump won.
Again.
In New Hampshire. No surprise, though.
Let me tell you something.
But America crazy, you know.
America is not crazy. Donald Trump understands America. America not crazy. People can say we crazy too.
Craziness of America.
People can say we crazy too. And people can say the UK crazy too. Donald Trump, the US is not crazy. The US is a divided country like many other countries. And Donald Trump understands the nature of the division that go back hundreds of years and the underbelly of the division. Okay? That's all Donald Trump understands. And he has been able to galvanize the support of the pro-white, anti-inclusive movement.
It's frightening, though, that America, after experiencing him.
Let me tell you something. You put him right back there. And let me tell you something. And if he gets the nomination, you remember I tell you this, he's going to beat Joe Biden.
Well, yeah. Because
Joe Biden ain't worthy.
Look at Joe Biden.
You can imagine he and Joe Biden stand next to each other in a presidential debate.
I feel sorry for
when Joe Biden just forget where he is from minute to minute.
Boy, oh boy.
Let me tell you
Boy, oh
something.
boy.
Don't think that Donald Trump may not be the next president of the United States of America.
Well, thankfully he'll be there because, well, if Donald Trump could be the next, could go back as president of America, well, then we in Trinidad here and more doo than we think. Take the time now. That's what you want to do. Take the time.
Take your time for
6:31.
you lay a trap and think I walk into it. Huh? No, you lay a trap and you think I'll walk into it, right? The Law Association of Trinidad and
I give you
Tobago.
a way out.
The Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago sounding the alarm of what it says is the increasing prevalence of identity theft and the use of fraudulent documents by fraudsters in land transaction. Law Association. You know something that alarm?
Yeah. Something that's 40, 50 years old.
And you know who is generally, let me not say, let me rephrase it. You know who is very often at the center of those fraudulent transactions?
They're probably not members.
Members.
They're probably not
members. Okay?
Oh.
It's like when the chamber say they want the authorities to deal with white collar criminals. Okay.
Yes. I remember you all had that program that day and I messaged about it. You all were interviewing.
Same thing.
Who's the head of the chamber?
Because they have no land or property transaction you could do without an attorney.
True.
None of any value. Okay? You want to see land transaction and people losing property? Some attorneys at law.
Yes. Yes, it can't be done without one.
Okay, right. So that.
As we talk law and so on, right? So remember I told you all about the ticket I got, right? And with Richard in tow, right?
You actually got a ticket today?
You didn't say that you got a ticket,
What?
They give
you
you a
not
ticket?
say if you got a ticket or not.
Yes, I did say that.
I didn't know. No, I didn't. You didn't say
Yeah,
that.
when he told me,
You didn't say you got a ticket. We
when
didn't know
he
you got a
told me
ticket.
to turn and park on Broadway, he walked back with a ticket and gave me the ticket. You
For
understand? For breaching the traffic light, he said that I breached by the edge of the bus route. Right? That's by Old St. Joseph Road, they call it. I think so, right? Anyway, he gave me a ticket for breaching the light. So I didn't read the ticket, honestly, but he said that's what the ticket was for, right? So I didn't read the ticket. I picked up the ticket Monday and I read the ticket. And I said, but this man is he mad? Is he just being wicked? Or is he semi-literate or what? What is his problem? I read the ticket. So the ticket says the traffic violation is breaching a traffic signal, right? He, as I tell you at the time, he accused me of breaching the traffic signal at the edge of the bus route, right? Eventually, I was stopped by the traffic light by City Gate, which is the one to turn right up on Broadway, right? That's where I was stopped. And that's when he came out and he said, he asked me for my document. Then he told me to wait on Broadway for him. And I thought they were coming behind me, but he walked across with the ticket. I'm looking at the ticket, Monday. You know where the ticket said the traffic light a breach? Right there by Broadway, by Maraj and Sons Jewelers. That's where he said I breached the traffic light. That's what the ticket said.
But is that what where did you actually encounter the officer?
That's where he stopped me. But that's not the traffic light he accused me of breaching.
What traffic light he breached? And then the ticket has the wrong information, which makes it invalid.
But I challenge the ticket, so I go to court in June. I hope he comes.
You should challenge it. If they put the wrong time,
but I have challenged
if they put the wrong area, if they spell your name wrong, the ticket is invalid.
I have challenged it. So the court hearing is in June. So anybody who knows, I'm gonna call his name because I'm sure somebody will know.
Please don't.
Don't call his name? The officer? Why?
Yeah, because it's a private matter.
Okay. All right. He get away.
Yeah, there's no need to call his name. That's a private matter. You either win or you don't win. You know?
It's a good thing you stopped me, you know, because I was all prepared to identify him. Because it's not the first time he has done this. Clearly, he has a problem with me and my vehicle. That's how I think about it. That's how I read it.
You take
Because
the man
on
on
that
one.
one, a day one pulled me over too. I told you all about
I feel you take the man on one.
this. I wish he too
You
young.
check
You know,
how much
you know how
I
you are.
He too young. You
And you know you ain't lucky with police already. You know that.
well, true. He too young.
You
He
know
too
you're
young.
not particularly lucky with police already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if
You know,
if I tell this other
Good,
police
I was
about,
below the belt pole.
if I tell this other police about that police, he might get in even more trouble because it's stupid. It's profiling. You understand? It's profiling.
yesterday in the Senate, an interesting thing happened. Senator Mark completed a motion he brought, which sought to have the government explain their approach in the Dragon deal and explain the roles of NGC, Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, and the US government, and provide quarterly updates on what's happening with the deal. Right?
Mm.
So I think there were 11 contributors to the debate. At the end of the debate, which was a private member's motion, the vote was called and the division was called. Very few instances where the presiding officer present has to be brought in to vote because it ended up 15 government no, 6 opposition yes, and 9 independents yes.
Okay.
And it's very rarely that all independents vote the same way.
Wait, hold up a second. Let's stick a pen there. You are UNC senator this morning then?
Apparently. But I guess all of us. You understand?
You voted with the UNC poll, is that what you're saying?
All 9 independents voted to support Senator Mark's motion. Because the motion just sought, you know, what was strange to me about it is they said details. The government could have given any amount of details they want and withheld what they thought may have been a breach of confidentiality. You understand? And a quarterly update on the progress of the deal. No, what could be wrong with that? In a deal that affects all our futures in one way or another. You understand?
Yeah.
What could be possibly wrong with that kind of transparency at some level? We understand, because the point has been made over and over by the government that while the deal is ongoing and you're in sensitive stages, there's certain information you can't give out. But it just sought to identify the government what the approach is taking and what happens if the government in Venezuela changes the election this year. What happens if the US reinstitutes sanctions? You understand? What is the long term? What is NGC's input? What is Shell's input? That's all it was, without any details, in my opinion, that may jeopardize a confidentiality issue. What's so wrong with that?
But you won't get the government voting against the motion was not government motion. It was
But it doesn't have to be.
Right, it was an opposition motion.
Yeah, it was said, yeah. It doesn't have to be a government motion.
Yeah. But they would have followed their whip.
Well, they get instructions of what to support and what not to support. Come on.
Yeah.
So, you know, it goes on both sides, you know, both opposition, government and opposition.
Right.
And any particular bill or motion.
So the president of the Senate had to break the tie.
Yeah.
Okay. How did he vote?
Well, let's be fair. Apparently there's a precedent that if there's a tie, the chair votes to maintain the status quo.
Okay.
And if the status quo is no information, it has to stay that way. Okay. Depending on how the motion is worded. Do you understand?
Yeah.
This is like the 3rd time I've seen this happen in 8 years.
Well, you know, the chair is also by virtue of appointment a government senator.
Yes, but the chair is also by virtue of principle independent.
Yeah.
And unbiased. Okay? So let's keep that in mind also. Yeah. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But that hasn't happened for a while.
But even though Yeah, but it sends a particular message when that happens. So you might win on the vote, but in the court of public opinion, you will lose. You understand?
Yeah.
So
we have
let's see how that goes.
We have 9 senators who voted with the UNC this month. That's a first for a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things like child marriage and stuff that everybody will vote a particular way because it's obvious.
Right.
But with these contentious things that generally tend to be government versus opposition, you don't get that kind of
you don't get unanimity.
But because of the principle, I think, of, I can only speak for myself, the principle of transparency at some level, and the seemingly total secrecy around this, which is unthinkable in this time for me, given the stakes involved. You understand? And the way it was worded, it didn't call for specifics, It called for a detail of approach being taken. So you could be as wide as you want, or you could be as limited as you want.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So.
Just to respond to Slick Money Grip, I don't believe I hope it's not a spelling issue he has. I just think he thought that I would just go and pay the ticket and not bother to challenge it. But remember, these tickets now come with demerit points.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the issue. It's not just the money, it's the demerit points.
50 points.
That goes on your record.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right, Wendell.
I was going to challenge it anyway, but it just so happens he helped me by putting the wrong place, completely wrong place. You know what I mean? And I didn't read it until Monday, almost a week after.
Anyway. Anyway, let me still type out the question for today.
So we will be polling this morning that statement from Kamala Prasad Bisesa, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, leader of the opposition, SCMP, that all law enforcement officers should be issued FULs once the UNC gets back in power. That's what.
No, that is not it. They should be issued it now. They'll bring back the back in power thing. You're correctly questioning. The question is, they ask the government to do it now, and if the government doesn't do it, they'll do it when they get back in power. So the question is, do you agree with the leader of the opposition that all law enforcement officers be given FULs and weapons off duty now?
But that's going to have a domino effect. Prison will say they need that. Army, defense force.
Law enforcement, all that is law enforcement.
Yeah.
Right,
so that will be our question for today. Coming up and of course we'll have a morning poll coming up. Just a FYI, and it boggles my mind.
All right.
That hold on. Hang on. The dry docking of the inter-island ferries. The APT James will be out of commission, will be withdrawn from service from the 24th of January to the 7th of February. And then on the 7th of February, the Boko Reef will be withdrawn from service from the 7th of February to the 21st of February. Don't they realize that is also Carnival weekend and a lot of people will be going to Tobago? That can probably push that back by a week. I wonder sometimes.
Opposition leader.
Well, I was just going to tell you, let's get into the headlines and then we'll come back with that raw morning poll.
No, I want to read quickly what she said. Just the top. That's one
part. Well, let's do that after the headlines and then we'll get into the poll because that will get into our poll.
When they read the thing.
You are always the bosses, I learned to listen.
What difference it make? Read the thing.
All right. We cannot reasonably ask our law enforcement officers to put their personal safety at risk daily while on duty, only to leave them unprotected when they leave their workplaces. I call on the government to immediately act to provide FULs and personal legal firearms to all our law enforcement officers. These brave men and women can rest assured that if no action is taken by this government, the UNC will move without delay to provide said licenses and firearms upon our return to government. So there was a proviso.
But they asked the government to do it now.
Okay, I'm not doubting that. But you see...
So why are you putting the other part in it? Should it be done now? That's the question.
It's a whole statement,
Let's go to the papers.
All right, let's do the papers.
That's what I said.
I don't have any here.
6:45. It's the Wednesday, the 24th of January.
Actually, I can help you with the Guardian.
Let's start with the Express. From church to mosque, funeral yesterday for former government minister Fazal Karam may have surprised many mourners. There'll be 2 services apparently. There was one yesterday, and his wife gave a stirring testimonial to her late husband. Condolences to them once again.
Both were done yesterday.
Both were done yesterday. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Fazal Karam dies at 71. Naomi Sinnett is the National Women's Action Committee NWAC 2024 Calypso Queen. Congratulations to her. TSTT acting boss blames office of the CEO. Traffic woes cost TNT $2.26 billion a year. Police vehicles crash at police station. Well, and the front page of the Express for today. Rapist scare. Sangre Grande residents take cover. Cops confirm at least 3 reports under probe. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, I could do the Guardian for you. Main headline in today's Guardian, online that is, Digicel customers suffer major outage. That story is on page 6, and not for the first time too. That's been happening with Digicel customers. And there is a picture of traffic nightmare. Cars upon cars upon cars on the Beetham Highway. Fatal highway accident causes 5-hour gridlock for morning commuters. Sparks renewed calls for mass transit system work from home policy. Well, this work from home policy with the radio working just fine for me. Don't change that now. Also in the news, Kamala wants guns for all protective service officers. 21 Israeli troops killed. Minchel's Hummingbird takes over the castle. And there's a picture of Joel Hardin, the husband of Jackie Lazarus. Also in the news, Chamber calls for mass transit system remote work policy to ease traffic nightmare. CW probe who misled Parliament on TSTT data breach. And that's a very unusual story in our way. A very strange story where Lisa Yegad is now looking to challenge the comments of the current CEO, who blamed her and her office for releasing that information to the minister. Government spent $234 million a year in rent. LAT warns of increase in land fraud. 2 emotional funerals for Fazal, and Senate Lords Karim's contribution to education. Senators remember Pandey as proverbial knight in shining armor. All those are stories trending in the Guardian online newspapers today.
Let's move to the news day now. For today, Law Association concerned at increase in identity theft and property fraud. Reports TNT 4th best in the world in energy sector accountability. Bacchanal Calypso tent opens on Saturday in Delaford. Augustine Tobago People's Party internal elections coming. 2 men charged with uttering false pension checks. Extradition hearing for Trinidad man wanted in U.S. goes to February. Court awards $0.5 million to cop after charges dropped. Sangre Grande man on bond for chopping man he found in his house. Fatal accident on Beetham Highway. And motion against Dragon Gas defeated after Senate President votes for government. So those are trending stories in your Express, Guardian, and Newsday for today, January 24th, Wednesday.
All right, so let's get the results of our morning poll. Of course, we asked you yesterday, do you think Carrier Fuel Trading Company should offer some level of compensation to the families of the divers? That was our poll yesterday. Give the results after this.
The finals is on. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social and Welfare Association presents their 2nd annual Protective Arms Monarch Competition. The finals, Saturday, January 27th, 7 p.m. Lion Civic Center, Woodbrook. 14 finalists from the different Protective Arms will compete to try and dethrone the reigning monarch, Michelle Henry. Wear your colors in support. Police, blue. Prisons, white. Fire, red. Band, and Defense Force Green. Enjoy performances by the Police Brass Band, Defense Force Brass Band, Fire Brass Band, and guest artist Showay Winchester. Tickets cost $100 and available at the Police 2nd Division Mess, Long Circular Road, Police Welfare Association, Riverside Plaza, Port of Spain, all extra food supermarkets, and at islandetickets.com. It's a cool event, so bring your cooler, your crew, and vibes, and we will provide the entertainment. Soca, Calypso, Chutney, Gospelypso, and Extempo. It's the finals of the 2nd annual Protective Arms Monarch Competition. Saturday, January 27th, 7 p.m. Lion Civic Center, Woodbrook. For more information, call 798-5562, 794-1686, or 356-8328.
The journey begins Saturday, 20th January. Chutney
All
Soca
right,
Monarch
Chutney Soca Monarch, the crowning of the Chutney Soca Monarch, the queen of Chutney Soca. It's Chutney's royalty at Skinner's Park, San Fernando, Saturday, 10th February, 8 p.m. 12 of the biggest names in Chutney Soca together with the biggest names on the carnival circuit, hosted by Big Rich and international social media influencer Carla Henry from the U.S. It's the biggest night. It's the biggest party. It's the colors of Chutney. The party starts immediately following the competition. Wear white and enjoy colored tannins as we herald the colors of unity of our blessed nation of Trinidad and Tobago. The Chutney Soca Monarch is sponsored by our media partners, IETV, Boom Champions 94.1 FM, Lit 102.3 FM, Power 102 Digital, our social media. Partners, West Indian Chutney Music, Masala Entertainment, our corporate sponsors, Paria Suites, B-Mobile, Blue Waters, Stamina Energy, Tourism Trinidad Limited, Caribbean Airlines, the official airline of Chutney Soca Monarch. Our presenting sponsors, the National Carnival Commission of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, and the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and the Arts. All right. Our question yesterday: do you think Paria Fuel Trading Company should offer some level of compensation to the families of the divers? The results are in. 100% said yes. All right. Good morning to Trinity in Boston, John Cato, CPT Singh, Carol Joseph, Finbar Collins, Wayne B, Terrence Brown, Von Drayton, Kyle Cupid. Good morning to you all. Mars versus Venus, Paula Richards, DL. Good morning to you all. Edward Alion. All right, so our morning poll question. It's on our screen for those on YouTube and Facebook, mobile app and website. Do you agree with the leader of the opposition that all law enforcement officers be issued firearm users license, FULs, and legal firearms to be used when off duty to protect themselves and their families?
Well, let PR, you know that? All that long poll.
That's normal for me.
Right. Von Drayton said, well, he said yes.
The number of votes on the chat already.
Some people voted already, yeah, Steve?
Yeah. Gregory Bauer says
I
no.
would be surprised when they-
Said no. CJ New York said no. CPT Singh says yes. Carol Joseph says yes to the poll. Rita Boodoo Jennings says no. Finbar Collins says no. Wayne B says no. Ambrose Blah said no. Mrs. R says no. Jean Clark says no. Rena Boodoo Jennings says no.
Yeah, we got a vote already.
Wow, lots coming in here. Jaron says no.
Josie Richardson.
Another one says no. Ooh, a lot of messages on WhatsApp coming in. Good morning, G&L Security. Good morning to you. Val says no. Cascade St. Anne says no. Long Islander says no. Michael in London says no. Bobby says no. Captain Ron says yes. Thank you, Captain Ron. Cheryl Johnson says no. Marcia Rock says no. Mugain says yes. Carl M. Jack says no. Carol Guevara says no. Slick Money Grip says no. Julia S. Batiste says no. Josie Richardson, no. What says you, caller?
Good morning. Are you hearing me?
Good morning. Yes or no?
Morning. No, the answer will be definitely not.
All right. Thank you. 222-8255. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099. All right, send numbers directly into our studio. WhatsApp at 318-1021. Kathy Ann says no. Eve out in Sugar Gordon this morning. Eve says no. Let's see. Marcia Rock says no. Cheryl Johnson says no. CPT Singh says yes. Pearl says no. GNC Auto Security says no. Ooh, a lot of votes coming in there, boy.
Some people are double voting.
Yeah, checking the names. Lester Craigwell. Yes, please. All right. Thank you, Lester. All right. 222-8255. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099. Of course, WhatsApp at 318-1021 on YouTube and on Facebook. Do you agree with the leader of the opposition that all law enforcement officers be issued FULs and legal firearms to be used when off duty to protect themselves and their families? Maraval on the road says nah. Karen, you have to vote. Morning to you. All right. Should they be issued FULs as suggested by the leader of the opposition? Adrian Couto says no. All right. CPT Singh.
Get everybody gone then, CVD.
Yeah. Well, some aircrafts have that. And he's saying give some pilots as well. Some have that. There was an issue last year where a co-pilot actually pulled the aircraft's firearm on a captain because he didn't want to divert the aircraft because of weather, and he tripped. Beauty Culture says no. John Cato says no. What says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm fine. Getting ready for it. Listen, I agree 100%. Simply, you're saving a life. The criminals have guns. Why should the officers be victims at all times? If people refuse to be law-abiding citizens and they want to kill other people who are being law-abiding citizens, then they should be taken out. Why should be the person who is maintaining a status of law-abiding be free for somebody to come with a gun and shoot them like that? I saw the officer, the two officers, the police officer got killed and the prison officer yesterday on TV. And it's saddening. These guys, they're doing their job. They're trying to be a role model in Trinidad and maintain the place. Of course, that's why they give us guns. We have guns in the cockpit. They give us guns.
Right.
When last year ever hijacking in the United States or anywhere around the world? These people wake up. Yes,
right.
I agree finally with Kamala.
All right.
All right.
Have a good day, gentlemen.
You too. All the best to you.
All right, Captain.
New Hampshire says yes.
By the way, Captain Ron, United Airlines did compensate me and the other two passengers who traveled with me for that mix-up that they did with us.
Wonderful.
So I have to thank them. They did compensate us. Right?
All right. Good. CMJ says no. Wayne B. Okay. Guy Small says yes.
Yeah, the last police officer who was murdered, the gun was taken away from him. He had a gun and it was taken away from him. Some of these messages coming in way after Paul crack about the poll yesterday, because I was seeing a couple messages coming in about Paul's comment.
All right. Well, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news.
There, see?
All right.
There's a yes inside of all that word. Those
yes to the police, Karen says. Yeah. All right. Let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. Of course, Aviation Hill Bab is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The business community called for changes following massive traffic gridlock yesterday. Opposition leader Kamla Prasad Basasa calls on government to provide law enforcement officials or personnel with FULs and personal firearms. UE Open Campus funding model revamped in a bid to address financial difficulties, and two appear in court for bogus pension checks. Details in a moment. This is News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Cynthia Bab. Good morning. Another massive gridlock as a result of a fatality on the Beetham Highway yesterday, and a reminder from the Economic Commission of Latin America and the Caribbean that the average Trinidadian spends more than a month in a year in traffic jams is leading the business community to call for urgent changes. A fatal road traffic accident along the westbound lane of the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway yesterday morning claimed the life of one man and left hundreds of motorists stuck in gridlock for close to 5 hours. The direct economic cost of traffic in Trinidad and Tobago is an estimated $2.26 billion per year, or 1.37% of GDP, with the average commuter spending an average of 793 hours, cumulatively 33 days, 1 month of the year in traffic delays. These are two of the main findings of the study assessment of the economic costs of vehicle traffic congestion in the Caribbean, a case study of Trinidad and Tobago produced by ECLAC Caribbean. Most respondents, 56% female and 44% male, reported that they commuted at least 3 times per week in self-driven private vehicles, 81% carrying no passengers. An AmCham TT says the impact on traffic for everyone is extremely high, and the hours wasted in traffic are not productive as it negatively impacts families and the quality of life. The organization says TNT needs an efficient mass transit system. It says this is impacted by safety, reality, and perception. And if people don't generally feel safe, they will avoid public transportation as much as they can. So crime also affects traffic. The chamber outlined that there have been many studies and solutions proposed. Well, the opposition leader, Kamla Prasad Basasa, is calling on the government to provide all law enforcement personnel with FULs and personal firearms. Prasad Basasa said via a release issued yesterday that we cannot reasonably ask law enforcement officers to put their personal safety at risk daily while on duty, only to leave them unprotected when they leave their workplaces. She called on the government to immediately act to provide FULs and personal legal firearms to all law enforcement officers. She said these brave men and women can rest assured that if no action is taken by this government, the UNC will move without delay to provide said licenses and firearms upon their return to government. She maintained law enforcement is an exceedingly high stress and high risk occupation, and the murders and constant death threats are having a traumatic effect on officers of the protective services and their families. The fact is, she said, that these officers have already been vetted and meet the competence criteria as they do handle firearms during the course of their duties. She noted that it is hypocritical that some ministers and members of their families are the holders of several legal guns, while law enforcement officers are not afforded the same means to protect themselves and families while off duty by the government. Discussions continue between the Attorney General and the Director of Public Prosecutions on issues surrounding the provision of resources to the Office of the DPP. AG Reginald Amor told the Senate on Tuesday that deliberations on important matters are necessary and will continue given the nature of the two offices. He said deliberations relating to accommodation, allocations of human and technical resources, and physical location premises are ongoing.
Again, the false premise of proper accommodation. The premises currently occupied by the Director of Public Prosecution are proper accommodation, but there are ongoing considerations and discussions with respect to the provision of additional accommodation. I hope in the near future, but it would be presumptuous of me to give a time frame. Thank you.
A revenue generation and cost reduction plan have been developed by the University of the West Indies Open Campus to help the institution come out of its financial difficulties. There was an admission from the campus that the funding model must be revisited and changes made since it was formally launched in July 2008. 35% of financial assistance is collected from several governments which support the UWI. 65% of the funding is collected from student tuition fees and entrepreneurial activities. Minister of Education Dr. Nian Gadsby-Dolly provided the update during the question and answer period in the Senate on Tuesday. The campus was set up to be a self-financing enterprise, but the fees were never set at a level which took this into consideration.
No dedicated seed funding was allocated by the UE or the contributing governments for the newly established campus. Instead, the assets and liabilities of the entities that were amalgamated to form the Open Campus were transferred to this new campus. Without the seed funding, the cost of operating the campus exceeded total revenues earned by it year over year. Hence, the unpaid obligations kept climbing as the years progressed. The Open Campus further advised that over the years, there have been deficits in both anticipated revenue streams.
Dr. Gadsby-Dolly was asked by the opposition what were the reasons for the financial challenges being faced and what steps, if any, were being taken to assist the UWI Open Campus.
1. Revenue generation. The UE plans to transition the Open Campus to the global campus, and it has started, to leverage the UE's reputation in the global market to align all the key elements of the UE to create a powerful single face for the UE in its global engagement. And its purpose is to put the UE's intellectual property online and available to global audiences, thus creating an increased revenue stream for the campus. This includes online courses, global research partnerships, and internationalized curricula.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. 2 men have been granted bail by masters of the High Court after they were charged with multiple fraud offenses arising out of separate incidents. 63-year-old Shafiq Abdul of Freeport was charged with possession of a forged Republic of Trinidad and Tobago national identification card, uttering forged documents, and obtaining money by false pretenses when he appeared before the court. He was granted bail in the sum of $80,000. Reports indicate a man went to a supermarket in the Canopia district on January 13, 2024, where he presented an identification card and senior citizen pension check for encashment. The documents were accepted as genuine and the man was paid $3,500 for each check. The document was later found to be allegedly fraudulent. The man is then said to have proceeded to another grocery in the district where he presented another identification card and check. However, the documents were found to be fraudulent and the police contacted. Officers of the Canopia police station responded and arrested the man, who was subsequently handed over to the fraud squad. In the second incident, fraud squad officers were conducting inquiries at a supermarket on January 16, 2024, when a man entered and presented an identification card and SCP check for encashment. The documents were allegedly found to be fraudulent and the man arrested. Minshal Khan, 55, of Darby, was arrested and charged with possession of a forged Republic of Trinidad and Tobago national identification card, uttering false documents, and obtaining money by false pretenses by P.C. Kernahan of the fraud squad. The accused appeared before a master of the High Court and was granted bail in the sum of $50,000 with a cash alternative. The fraud squad urges the business community to be wary of the circulation of fraudulent SCP checks and to scrutinize the checks to identify any irregularities such as spelling errors, different fonts, and incomplete signatures. Considering the national identification cards which are being presented, the fraud squad advised businesses to check with the Elections and Boundaries Commission website to verify the authenticity of the card. Finally, in weather news for the period today till midnight, Trinidad and Tobago partly cloudy and breezy conditions are expected with occasional showers occurring. Some cloudiness will linger overnight, accompanied by a few showers. Gusty winds are likely, especially near showers. Some additional marine information: small craft operators, sea bathers, and all other marine interests are being advised by the Meteorological Office to exercise caution. You can expect a temperature high this morning of 31 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 30 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. It's currently 20 degrees Celsius or 23 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 25 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the business community calls for changes following massive traffic gridlock yesterday. Opposition leader Kapasar Bissassa calls on government to provide law enforcement personnel with FULs and personal firearms. UE Open Campus funding model revamped in a bid to address financial difficulties, and two appear in court for bogus pension checks. I'm Afril Sintil-Bab. That was News to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You could join her again. Come at 8 o'clock for our news brief. All right. Quickly, let's get into the traffic. See what's happening on the highways and the byways. Certainly, it's not like yesterday. Starting out in the west, Diego Martin Main Road especially is very heavy. Out of Maraval by Mocha, Lower Santa Cruz, going up Lady Young Road. You've got some from Coconut Drive towards the Lookout. Let me head out east, make our way out west. Let's see. Approaching O'Mara, if you're westbound, O'Mara Road, for those coming out of O'Mara Road onto the highway, it is heavy. Piarco towards UE, and then Valsain to Port of Spain. Arima Old Road is a bit heavy. Out of Trinidad City by Aruca, but those lights heading towards Curep, you've got some traffic, and then volume again from Mount Hope towards San Juan and heavier after 6th Avenue Barataria towards Mova Junction. Kelly Village, you've got it, heading back to the airport. Ibis Gardens towards QREP. Southern Main Road, you're going to pick up your traffic just by Endeavor before and after Chin Chin Road. Chaguanas Main Road is heavy. Head down Southland. See what's going on there. Ooh, you're lighter than usual. Nothing really to report. In South. Rivulet Road is heavy. Freeport towards Sugarguanas, and just after Sugarguanas, way before Munro Road, you'll pick up traffic heading northbound. All right, so that's a quick traffic update for you. Hope it helped you out in one way or the other. Sexy San Fernando, yep, says no to the poll. Huda Well says no. Nemo says no. Mars versus Venus says no more guns. Right. Okay. Let me see. Check what's up here now. Central Animal Lover. Good morning to you. No to the poll. Lester Crigwell also says no.
I think Lester Crigwell voted already.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of votes on this poll this morning.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Let's Paul, read your long poll. Don't look down.
The morning poll is: do you agree with the leader of the opposition that all law enforcement officers be issued FULs and legal firearms to be used when off duty to protect themselves and their families?
And we had lots of people waiting on our poll this morning. 7 of you said yes, with justification from our resident pilot, and 36 said no. Right? 7 said yes, 36 said no. All right. I don't know. I don't know that more guns is going to fix anything in this.
That is not a good idea.
Yeah. More guns not going to fix this place.
No.
Sorry.
They need to fix law enforcement efficiency and take the criminals off the streets.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I have just called Gideon Dixon, president of the Police Welfare Association. Good morning to you, Mr. Dixon. How are you?
Good, all things considered. You and the nation is important to me too.
Right. Thank you for joining us, by the way. I have Paul and Wendell, and of course, we asked the poll, as the leader of the opposition had said, officers should be given FULs and legal firearms to carry home to have with them at all times. What's your take on that? Well, let me let Wendell give you the results of the poll once again.
Yeah,
well, Mr. Dixon, good morning. We polled this morning the comments of the opposition leader in terms of all law enforcement officers being given FULs and legal firearms to take home with them, right? 36 said no, and 7 people said yes. So 36 people do not agree with that comment, and 7 agrees with it. Where do you stand on it? If you can speak on your own behalf and maybe also on the association's behalf.
Most times I speak on behalf of the association. It is difficult to distinguish it, especially while I sit at the post I sit at this time. All right. We have not yet done our consultation with the membership to ascertain their views on it. As you would be aware, it is a recent post. So I would want to.
But I don't, Mr. Dixon, this is not recent, you know. She may have said it, she may just have said it again. But this has been proposed before. So I would imagine you would have given it some thought even before.
Right. So from a policing perspective, I would want to say that our officers who, by and large, major tool of trade is a firearm, right? Once our mechanisms are in place, because we have sufficient mechanisms in place, and we could be able to allocate the resources, because there are resources. From an association perspective, we believe that we have reached the time where officers should be armed 24 hours a day, and it should not be only when they are working. That is our position. As it relates to the FUL aspect, it is a person's own constitutional right to apply for the FUL. So we are saying that, as it is, officers should have a primary and a secondary weapon that they should be able to utilize on a 24-hour basis.
How many officers are employed with the police service? Good morning, Mr. Dixon.
Good morning to you, sir. Could you ask the question again, please?
How many officers are presently employed by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service?
We have 6,499 police officers in the regular service and just about 3,100 in the SRP.
So you think 9,000 officers should have FULs when they're off duty?
When they're off duty, I think that for the time that we are in right now, it goes beyond they just having it. It speaks to they also accounting for it. Accounting for wrongs, it speaks to our management processes, it speaks to us utilizing every opportunity to be able to ensure that if something happens and a law enforcement officer, particularly a police officer, is wrong, he shouldn't be second guessing as to how he could respond or pass and then have to make a report subsequent to that. That is what we think.
You know, Mr. Dixon, I'm hearing that argument and I'm not totally against it, but here's the other side I'm going to put forward. FUL now in the hands of anybody is a private matter. It's a private thing. No one knows that in a lot of cases, no one knows who has an FUL or not, right? The fact that you're now allowing all law enforcement people, it is to be assumed now that all will have a firearm, right? Wouldn't that also work against them in some instances?
Could you repeat that last part?
I'm saying, sorry?
I'm driving right now, so I didn't hear everything you said clearly.
Okay. The issue of a FUL now is a private issue, right? No one knows exactly who has an FUL or who does not. The fact that you're now proposing to have all law enforcement people with FULs, it is to be assumed that all will in fact have. Can that also work against them?
As a matter of fact, I think it would work in favor. It will work in favor of both the officer and by extension the perpetrators, those who would bend and breaking the law. The bandits now are well in tune with this taking place. They know police officers sign on and sign off the firearm. They know those things. So how do we combat those things in modern day society where the fabric of law and order has broken down considerably?
So you're emphasizing my point for me, right? You're emphasizing my point for me. Now they know for sure that off-duty officer has a firearm. We know we have seen the brazenness of these criminals in it. Wouldn't that also put that officer's life more at a risk now that you know for sure that he has a firearm?
I cannot agree with that statement of the but particularly because, again, from the time you are signed up as a police officer, and the members of the public know they're a police officer, what goes with it is a level of respect and an authoritative figure. The criminal also knows that you're a police officer. So, if you're in a uniform and the criminal is doing some act and they pounce on you at that point in time, you become a statistical data. And it is from that context I'm saying that our officers, by and large, if it is our officers are in fact 24 hours because we are called upon to work 24 hours. Our leave is restricted almost every quarter. But you cannot be saying that it is only out of convenience when he puts on his apparel. It should be one where you're taking the officer's entire livelihood into consideration. So there is need for us to have this discussion. But also I'm saying there is also the need for us to veer it away from politics. This is not to get political points. This is really actually where you are taking the lives and the livelihood of your men and women who are charged with securing your community. You're taking what's going on with them wholeheartedly. We are no longer living pre-1990. We are in 2024. The times have changed. The value systems have changed. The criminals have changed. The people we're dealing with, the millenniums and the Gen Zs, they have changed.
Yeah. Let me pose another scenario to you, Mr. Dixon, because we have had this discussion before, but it has never really been fleshed out. The issue of officers also going home with marked police cars so that there'll be a bigger presence of marked police vehicles in some areas. What are your thoughts on that? Because it happens, I think, in some states in America where they are allowed to go home with their cars. What are your thoughts on that?
I would want to say that not everything that happens in America we ought to import because America is not the perfect society. As it is, we are starved of resources at the station level. We are starved of resources at some of our unit level. For officers to be going on with marked vehicles, I think that that is counterproductive at this point in time, because when the members of the public come to make a report, to hear the old adage or the cliche that we don't have vehicles and we can respond in a timely manner right now, in order to breed public trust and confidence, you should have the resources at your disposal to be able to both give a quick response and also give a sustainable approach in terms of deterring and deterring crime and criminality from occurring. So at this juncture, I cannot see it being a plus for us as an institution, or for us as a plus as a community.
Mr. Dixon, can you give us a sense of what occurs now with officers who are allowed to take home their firearm? What is the criteria for that presently?
Well, I wouldn't want to publicly give that on the air, to be quite honest. I am aware that several officers are entitled, based on both our standing orders, based on our operational procedures, based on whatever threat analysis line come their way, based on their rank within the organization, they would be allowed to utilize their firearms. They'd be allowed to have a firearm.
Are there circumstances, given you've now indicated that you are in agreement with the proposal to provide FULs and legal firearms to officers when they're off duty, are there circumstances where you would say that is not applicable?
Yeah, there will be circumstances because, again, it will be where an assessment ought to be done by those who are in the middle management and upper management as to a person's status, a person's lifestyle outside of the organization. It shouldn't be cablash across the board, but it is something the discussion needs to take place at this point in time. The society becoming more and more brazen, and we just lost an officer last week. Condolences again to his family. And I'm glad I have the opportunity at this point in time. The association came forward initially, early, and put up $20,000. We know that it is nowhere close to what's the life of the officer, and we are all in a bit to try to weed out those who would have committed the act. To this date, up to this point in time, we haven't seen corporate TNT come forward and put anything. We have not seen. We have not. Well, Crime Stoppers would have increased the sum from that of the 20,000 to 50,000. We have not seen no government official or entity there come out and put something. We have not seen our own TTPS. And this is unfortunate, but this is the reality that we're in. And the reality beyond that is that we are the gatekeepers. A police officer was gunned down. And if you don't try to have this resolved in the shortest possible time, what are you saying to the criminals, Andy? You really care about the officers? You really care about those people who are put there to protect you? No, we can't be serious. A firearm went missing. They had over $100,000 for a firearm. That was just recently. A prison officer or two prison officers got gunned down, over $500,000. And the prison officers deal with those who we send before the court and was found guilty and housed. But the person who are the gate of the criminal justice system being gunned down, and we cannot get a substantial reward to be put outside here.
Is there any update on that situation? The police service put out a release saying that there was no evidence to suggest that it was in relation to his career as an officer.
At this juncture here, I am aware that the police service put out something. It wasn't in relation to his career as a police officer. But, you know, it's just like at the start of this program, yeah, the presenter asks if I want to give my personal or the association perspective on the topic. I'm saying the life of that gentleman was taken. If you look in his 10-year service, he didn't take a day sick leave. His life is that of policing. He worked on the Prime Minister's escort. He worked almost every single day and didn't take a day sick leave, haven't taken vacation. So he has accumulated vacation. So when you are asking me now to distinguish whether he was in his capacity as a police or he was in a civilian role, those things are things that we ought to really look at in a more critical manner. We had to look at it.
If we could change gears just for a bit, regarding the issue of the promotions, which ended up in the controversy.
Today, I will be doing a media conference, the Associated Media Conference at 2 p.m. You are the first to hear it. We were just about to put it out the release. So we would invite the media houses. So I'll just speak once on that topic and some other topics that we feel both our membership and by extension, the nation at large should be aware of.
Well, are you satisfied with what has happened in terms of trying to resolve that issue?
I will speak at around 2 p.m. about that matter, sir.
Yeah, more people listening now than you'll get at 2 p.m. I
don't know why you don't realize that.
It should be told. I wouldn't want I wouldn't want to be preemptive. I am still shocked in so many things that needs to be put out there. The question could be asked again. If you can't make it yourself, Dr. Richards, you can send someone who could ask the question. I'll respond.
Is it going to be streamed?
So all those logistics are taking place as we speak.
You know you're being streamed right now, so you're wasting a valuable opportunity.
Oh my gosh! But it's okay to get out there still nonetheless, right? So
yeah, the police leadership has said it was a glitch. Do you think it was a glitch?
The police leadership has said that is the information we receive also. Right? That is the information we receive also.
Do you think it was a glitch? A human glitch or electronic glitch? Which one do you think it was?
I would speak further on the topic at around 2 p.m. today, sir.
Mr. Dixon, if I could just go back to the issue of the reward that was offered, have you all had any information coming since issuing that reward? And was the reward on the perpetrators of the crime, or in other words, the murder, or for the recovery of the gun? I wasn't sure.
Well, we would want the perpetrator. The gun at this stage here, the gun comes second, because if you get the perpetrator, most likely the perpetrator is akin to the gun, and we will get the gun off the street, so it will be able to save any more persons from becoming victims of crime and these criminals who are bent set on trying to make our country look bad. So
have you got any information thus far?
Our homicide bureau has not given us anything to work with at this point in time, nor have the reliable lines of the 555 or the 800 tips. Again, we don't know if it's because of the value of the reward, and we are looking at the value of the reward in comparison to other rewards offered within recent times in Trinidad and Tobago for other things and other people, and we are the gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, we have no evidence to support otherwise. If those rewards issued actually work, if they actually result in perpetrators being captured, we don't ever get follow-up on those things.
Well, probably because of the confidential nature of these matters, and you are trying to breed confidence into a system which has been around for quite some time, because as you are aware, Crime Stoppers are around for quite some time. Mr. Carmichael and they would have gone on public airways on several occasions and speak of its ability to be potent and what it has done in terms of bringing perpetrators before justice. So they will be the best person to answer that. And again, from all indicators, they have been doing an extremely good job once those rewards are put out there, and persons who in fact receive it from anonymously to the extent that we can trace it back. So those things are very commendable, and we are hoping it will work in this instance and other instances in the future.
Mr. Dixon, this morning we started off by talking about the traffic gridlock that took place yesterday and the possible slow response of the TTPS in terms of controlling that traffic. What is your response to that?
I am aware that there was some traffic gridlock. Myself, at the point in time, I know that a lot of officers were heading in the direction of the funeral of the officer. To pay our last respect, which we felt had to be done.
At 5:30 in the morning?
No, the traffic went beyond that. I'm not aware as to when it started, but I know I was heading to the funeral for 9 o'clock, and I was encountering some traffic heading for the direction I was. So I am not intimate with the time that the traffic started. The response of the police would always be brought into scrutiny. There's always room for improvement as relates to response of police. I don't know if all our mechanisms were in fact operational at the point in time, so they could have seen where the gridlock was occurring.
So are you suggesting officers attempting to attend the funeral of their colleague may have played a factor in the police response to the traffic yesterday?
No, I think no, you missed. I don't know what time the traffic would have occurred at the point in time. I spoke directly from when I was looking to attend. I am aware that there was significant traffic on the roadway, and I was looking ahead for 9 o'clock, and I'm going in the opposite direction. Right? So that much is what I could say in relation to the traffic. The response of the police, as I said before, would always be brought into scrutiny, and we have to look now as to whether the resources was in fact available, and resources mean both the human and the physical resources. Additionally, we had to know if they had sight of where the gridlock was taken and taking place, and at the time and when the communication was transmitted for them to respond.
That response is interesting. That response is interesting, given the police were able to mobilize about 7 years ago. Very good to have a day of total policing.
Can you repeat that?
I say it's interesting that the police seemed to have questions over their resources yesterday to mitigate the traffic after the unfortunate death of the pedestrian, but they were able to mobilize some years ago very, very effectively for a day of total policing.
You were able to mobilize some years ago. I don't hear the part of
for a day of total policing.
So, with all due respect and all fairness, I think that that statement is not being used in its truest context, because when one takes into consideration police operation, which is also regulating traffic, the police was doing what the police supposed to do, right? And if in doing it, it was not organized as seamlessly as it was supposed to, and something happened, it happened. Right? It happened. We right now the police is being targeted for every single thing in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, that's not true.
No.
The police are being targeted for food price increases, so it can't be every single thing.
Well, so let me tell you something. If crime occurs, and based on crime occurring, and the police responsible for managing crime, and then food increases and price of food goes up because now persons are thinking harder to bring things into the country because because of whatever reason, then the police don't. If the rain falls too hard, the police get the blame.
That's a stretch. But I know you're trying to make a point, so I'll give you a blind.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to make a point that yes, the police are under a lot of scrutiny, as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
Because the police have a critical function. They have a critical function in society to prevent crime when they can and maintain law and order and investigate and bring criminals to justice. Yes, the police are under a lot of scrutiny. But you will also agree that even internally, as I'm sure you elaborate in your press conference this afternoon, there are issues with the running of the police service, as I'm sure you'll elaborate later on this afternoon.
Yes, please. You are correct.
So let's not pretend that the police operation is optimal.
I would be balanced. I would be balanced.
Let's not pretend that we're going to say the police are blamed for everything and police scrutiny is not required in many instances.
So that part, everything else you said, I agree.
Because I know you're gonna bring something to the for this afternoon about police leadership. I'm sure.
Could you repeat that last part?
I'm sure in your press conference this afternoon, you're going to bring up some issues with police leadership.
Dr. Richards, you are trying to bring words out. You are trying to take things out of me.
Not in the least bit. I made a statement. I didn't ask a question. Anyway,
Mr. Dixon, let me interpret your giggle just now. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When we question police efficiency and the response is, well, police are under scrutiny. Yes, they should, because you're going to put them under more scrutiny this afternoon also.
Well, what I'm going to do is use the opportunity to communicate with both our internal customers and by extension, some of the external customers who depend on the internal customers to perform the deal.
Mr. Dixon, the other
directly St. Joseph Police Station.
Yeah. I also want to raise the issue of the proposed, I don't know who we interviewed, I think it was the Minister of National Security. The issue of the training being reduced from 6 months to 4 months with more intensity in terms of the training of the new recruits and them being used for the carnival period if the need arises. I think it was the Minister of National Security. We raised that with Paul, I think it was.
I didn't hear anything about reduced training time.
Yeah, from 6 months to 4 months. That's what was being said. How do you respond to that?
That wouldn't be practical. That wouldn't be by no stretch of the imagination practical. Because we just have a batch of trainees went in about 2 weeks ago. Carnival is less than 3 weeks away. There's only so much that they could do. I know that we will be utilizing those who have now started to train by some strategic measures. We'll be using them strategically to assist or the existing resources outside here. But generally, reducing training to 4 months, we see it could be possible if we recruit from our SRP contingent, not necessarily taking a man who would have been groomed in the community for over 18 years, between 18 and 35 years, and would have been cultured a particular how and wanted to become a police within 4 months. That doesn't speak to our fabric in Trinidad and Tobago. However, the special reserve officer who would have had some on-the-job training and also gotten some initial training as a special reserve officer and have the qualification, I could see that occurring, right? But to take generally a civilian off the street and make them a police informant, there's a stretch.
Do you agree with the proposal? Well, it's more than a proposal now by the Honorable Prime Minister that $100 million will be allocated or has been allocated to engage retired Defense Force personnel and other Defense Force specialists to aid the police in particular communities in the fight against crime?
Oh, that is an excellent question, Dr. Richards. That is an excellent question. The authorities will continue to strive to put systems in place so that we could make sure that Tobago a safer place. I think that it is rather unfortunate that when they are looking to put things in place, key stakeholders are not present for consultation. We often either look outside to try to determine best practice, or we often look to what would have occurred in times era that would have, when the country was a lot more peaceful, a lot closer to God, a lot more community oriented, to see if we could get results. So no, I think that we definitely need to look at our approach strategically and understand where the cause of the breakdown occurred and do a multi-pronged approach to address what is taking place.
So let me repeat the question because I don't think you heard the question clearly. Do you agree with the proposal as announced by the Prime Minister with the allocation of $100 million to engage retired Defense Force personnel and other Defense Force specialists to help police fight crime in specific areas? Is that a yes or no? And why?
Straight out, I'm not giving you a yes or no answer, right? So let me just start that way.
It's obvious.
Straight out, any assistance the police could get, we'll accept in the fight against crime. That is first thing first. But beyond that, what needs to happen is that your officers need to be sufficiently motivated to fight the crime. So when you peg your officers next to your entire public service to give them 4%, that does not assist. When you peg your officers that you cannot give them a COVID grant, that does not exist. When you do this, when you restrict officers' leave continuously, it does not exist. When you have 39 officers dying as a result of COVID, it does not aid. When you have the most elections within the country's history within the shortest period, and officers and their family are placed in a diminished position, it does not exist. So you are trying to put plasters on sores.
Mr. Dixon,
let us look at it real. Let us be real. So you can bring and put whatever you want.
Mr. Dixon, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this question that it might be easier for you to answer yes or no. Do you think it's an indictment on the TTPS that this $100 million was placed under the TTDF, Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force? Do you think it's an indictment on the police service? Yes or no?
I have no comment at this time. I just made my comment there just now.
So are you saying that officers in the TTPS are demotivated because of other circumstances and that is impacting their performance? Is that what you're saying?
The errand is where the solution could be found.
So maybe I should clarify the question. I'm communicating very poorly this morning. I apologize.
Doctor, you don't have to clarify the question. Doc, I understand the question. I gave you all an answer to the question I asked, which is a very important question. And I gave you the answer. I say it is. I started by saying that it is, we welcome any assistance that you can get. But we need to look at the cause. And once we start to treat the cause, and then everything else should play out itself properly.
And the cause you're speaking about here is the cause of crime or the cause of police inefficiency?
You see that term, police inefficiency? That is an inaccurate term to be using. The term that you should use and you would have used is that police are demotivated. You know.
So what is the overall impact on the police demotivation then? Okay, so we accept that you're saying the police are demotivated. What do you think is the impact of the police being demotivated?
What I think is the impact of the police being demotivated.
Yes.
Okay. The impact of the police being demotivated could be seen in many different areas of society. Right? It could be seen if the response that it spoke to is not in a timely manner. It could be seen in terms of the feedback that the public is looking for isn't coming. It could be seen by our detection rate. It could be seen by many different areas. Right? I am saying to you that the police service continues to be a noble occupation, which it appears that those in authority is taken for granted, and it is having impact on those officers who would have signed up to be a police officer with the qualification is required to become career officers. It is having an impact across the entire diaspora of the policing, and persons realizing that since December 2021, we have not had 3 sitting deputy commissioners of police. Since December 2021, we are in January 2024. What is the reason why we cannot have 3 DCPs for strategic leadership to manage this organization? Within recent time, within the last month, twice, debate on whether we should have DCPs confirmed into the rank has been rescheduled or put up because it's not important. Could our country run without our critical persons to lead? We are the only organization, a paramilitary organization, being judged as if everything is in place, but really and truly, nothing is in place. Sir. We are being treated like a political tool. So that is why persons can take poke at us almost every single week.
Mr. Dixon, I would imagine, and I'm listening to you and I'm reading in between your lines. I would imagine that a lot of your press conference this afternoon will go into issues surrounding the leadership of the TTPS at this point in time. Do you believe that that's where your problem lies, or, as you intimated a while ago, politics getting involved?
Both.
I like that boot and full stop.
I am on the ground now. I'm on the ground.
Mr. Dixon, thank you for being with us this morning.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
We hope you're streaming the press conference, so that we can tune in. Where's the press conference going to be held? Could you give us some details, please?
4th floor, Riverside Plaza, 2 p.m.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gideon Dixon, for being with us on the Power Breakfast Show.
Thanks, Mr. Dixon. We'll reach out to you after we hear from the press conference.
We're calling you back tomorrow.
Okay, gentlemen.
All righty. Take care.
Yeah. Of course, that was Gideon.
He said a lot without saying a lot. Huh?
I was reading between his lines a lot.
He spoke their concerns about the leadership, of course, because he spoke about the appointment of 3 substantive DCPs. I know the names have gone to Parliament. Yeah. I haven't seen them debated yet, which is very odd.
Because normally debates take place right away.
Right away. And it's very, very odd that it hasn't been debated. I think at least 2 weeks ago, not so?
Yeah.
I think the end of last year, if I'm not mistaken.
It was last year.
Yeah. Which is very odd it hasn't been, because the House sat last week, Friday.
Junior Benjamin, Natasha George, and Wendell Lucas. I think
it's very odd that they haven't debated. I think the House is supposed to sit this week again. We'll see if it happens then. He spoke about that clearly, and suddenly that's a leadership issue. And he spoke about the demotivation of officers. Of course, he's the president of the Police Social Welfare Association, so he's going to advocate for better pay and better remuneration packages. You understand what? That is understandable. Anyway, I see Marshall Montana put out a calypso.
What?
Soul of Calypso. A calypso. Nice song too. As he would. Marshall is a high performer.
He is transitioning lovely.
Well, I keep telling you, I see a future in some way for Marshall in politics, and that's what I'm seeing.
You think he's so inclined?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think he has a contribution to make in arts and culture beyond performing. He's mentoring already, but I think he's looking. He's probably 50. Is he 50 yet?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
So I think that particularly with him going through this process of higher education, which he will pass with a breeze because he's a very, very intelligent man.
Yeah.
He's excelled in primary and secondary schools, and he's excelled in arts and culture. He's very innovative. So I don't see him not excelling in that UTT program. And I think that's step one of him getting into politics. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
On advisory
Paul.
On advisory position. Advisory position. I thought that too, actually. I actually thought that too.
Yeah,
I thought that too. Also, that did pass through my mind that he is from Superior and well grounded in Superior. And strategically grounded in Superior. But even if not as a senator or an MP, certainly as a cultural ambassador or advisor. But he's already a cultural ambassador, but in a more formal way.
Yeah.
And I think he'd do very well because he's very, very, very bright, very, very innovative young man. Well, I can't say young again, but youngish man. Yeah. And I think he has a lot more to contribute because of his experiences and his profile.
I suspect.
Yeah, and I do think the song is called Soul of Calypso, and I think it's repositioning him.
All right, I'll listen out for it.
Can you
take a couple calls, Steve?
We just have like 2 minutes again, so yeah, we could squeeze a call. We have some calls in already, so let's make them short and sweet. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, they spent 4 hours on an interview that the man ain't saying nothing, but don't want to make.
That is not true. That is not true. He didn't say what you want to hear. You want to hear what you want to hear.
All right.
That is just like you. You want to hear what you want to hear. He said quite a lot.
Answer that question. The man answered nothing.
That is not true. You just say what you want to hear.
The man talk like Jesus. I set up parables and they said nothing. But anyway, I would have liked to ask the question: what does he think about the incident that happened in Korea with the police officer hitting the phone out of the man's hand? But that done gone already. Gentlemen, yesterday was horrible. Let me tell you what my experience had been. I called Beyond the Tape program Sunday, and I alluded to something that happened on Sunday. I drove from San Fernando, from Grand Bazaar to Arima, and back to Grand Bazaar. And a police who was in the vehicle had been noticed. He said, but you notice you ain't seen no police on the road? I assume was because it's Sunday. Yesterday with the traffic, I had a meeting with police now.
You have issues with police and driving with police? Okay.
I have plenty of police.
Is that a male officer or female officer?
It was a female officer.
I thought so.
I have issues with.
I thought so. That's what happened to you. I now understand what happened to you, you know. You have Wendelitis.
No.
That's what happened to you. It's pressure you get, you know. That's what and now it all makes sense now.
You see, he meeting them as police officers.
Make your point. You have to go.
Police officers. I didn't.
So I was saying yesterday, I had a meeting in Port Esprit that I could not have been late for. And I noticed 3 vehicles, Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard vehicle and 2 RAV4, all with blue lights, running down the shoulder. Now, based on the time the traffic was where it was, I said, no, something wrong with this, something different about the traffic. And I say, you know what? I tested the system today. And I run down the shoulder from Chase Village to Arangways.
So you broke the law?
Yes, I broke the law.
So you engaged in activity akin to people jumping fences?
Yes. And I drove from Chase Village to Arangways.
Wasn't that a bit reckless of you? Isn't that you're admitting to being reckless?
It was indeed illegal, reckless, all the different things. However, my point is, I encountered no police on that highway from Chase Village to Arangway to stop me to say, Mr. Johnson.
So do you think other citizens should test the system and break the law also?
I had an instructor many years ago who guided me wisely, and he said, test the system. The system is
but people will be
so
told
then you cannot go against anybody who breaks it and test the system in the future. You have to him out.
The point that I'm making is that there's supposed to be people to make sure that I can't break the law.
And you were doing it with an officer in the car, which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Wendell?
He said you were doing it with an officer in your car.
Who did not stop you from doing that, which is even more abhorrent.
A mixing of the days. Sunday, I was with an officer in the car. Right? Yesterday, I was with a co-worker. We had a meeting with my lawyer in Port of Spain for a particular time.
And your co-worker didn't tell you break any law and stop it?
No. We have to be in that meeting. We have to be in that meeting. But the point about it, gentlemen, there is not enough police on the road. Right? And the officer, you asked him about that and he skipped dance all the way around not being, what do you say?
The only thing that was interesting to me is that he clearly stood by the day of total policing, which I was disgusted by, but I like.
And he stood by that.
Yeah, very good.
All right.
You all have a great day. Be safe out there.
Yep. Folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God.
All right, gentlemen. Talk to you guys bright and early.